can't see it very well, but I'm trying to show that I'm talking about Immortals Fenyx Rising. Merry Christmas. Yes, well, Merry Christmas everyone. Javier here to briefly talk to you about Immortals Fenyx Rising, a very late kind of addition to the great games we've had this year, and it's kind of a game that I feel like no one's talking about. Firstly, I just want to talk a little bit about Cyberpunk and this mess that's going on. Now, a lot of people obviously have been hating on CD Projekt Red Online, understandably annoyed that they can't play the most recent big RPG to hit the shelves, and you know it's unplayable. Essentially, if you couldn't get hold of a next-gen console or you haven't got a very good PC, then you can't play the game. You can't play the game on a PS4 or an Xbox One. From the sounds of things, pretty much unplayable. And you know, I've seen on Will's Twitch, he streamed it, and there was a mission, for example. I mean, he's had lots of bugs. There was one where he had to shoot a driver, something like that, to progress in the mission, and the driver wasn't there. It's a mess. And you know, personally, I think people need to feel sorry for the developers who spent all this time creating this amazing game, which hopefully will be. It is apparently really good when it works, and you know, we know they're an amazing team because of Witcher 3. But whoever's decision it was to release the game, probably knowing that the game didn't work very well on base console versions, and you know, telling reviewers they couldn't use footage from the game, and withholding review scores until like a week until a week after the game had been out, I think is very wrong. And I think, you know, I hope the people who have offered or applied for refunds are able to get them. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, screw CD Projekt Red. It's made me not really want to play the game. I was really looking forward to it. I'm maybe going to get it when I get a PS5, but it's not an immediate buy for me now. I think some sort of repercussion needs to be felt by them where they see a lack in sales, see a lack in faith in the company. But like I said, it's not the developer's fault. It's some higher up who's made a decision. They should have just held the game for another year. People would have been annoyed, of course, but they wouldn't have been annoyed as they are at the moment. That's my thoughts. Anyway, I want to talk to you briefly about this Immortals game, which I've been playing for the last sort of week or so. Basically, I didn't really know anything about it, and it was kind of fun to go in blind. And it might be a game you've seen. You know, Ubisoft released it. I think I saw the first trailer for it about a year and a half ago at the E3. Oh my god, it was longer than that, 2.5 years ago, at the the E3 event they did, and it was called Gods and Monsters, I think, or something like that at the time. And basically, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it and see if you're interested. Firstly, if you like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the old God of War games, Breath of the Wild, and Darksiders, you're going to enjoy this game. It's a big mashup of all those games. And the Sims graphics, which is the only thing I don't like about it, but we'll talk a bit about that in a minute. Essentially, you play Phoenix, and the storylines that everyone has been turned to stone by by one of the Titans, and I can't remember who they've used now. The big lavary one. That's bad, isn't it? Or was it a god? I don't know. I haven't been paying enough attention to the story. But anyway, he's turned everyone to stone. He's going to kill everyone. So all the humans can't rebel. Yeah, the storyline is told from the point of view of Zeus and Prometheus. Zeus is torturing Prometheus, and they basically make a deal. And Prometheus says to him, "If I can prove to you that the humans can overcome, you know, this tragedy, then you'll let me go." And it's a really good way of telling the story, because they have a lot of banter, and there's just loads of funny little jokes, and they kind of make light of the Greek tragedies, all the bad things that Zeus did. They kind of slip them in here and there, but while still making it kind of kiddie friendly. And it's just really clever, because not only do you have the character you're playing as, and you meet Hermes quite early on, and Athena, and obviously other gods will come along. That you have these two bigger gods kind of narrating the whole thing. So you have the interactions that you're having whilst being narrated by these other two, and then everything you do is kind of like, oh, and then he did this. But it sounds bad when I'm explaining it, but when you're playing it, trust me, it works really well and it's really funny.
From such great heights, a fluttering of birds, feeding from the most beautiful apple tree, caught Phoenix's eye.
Phoenix was about as high as I was when I thought marrying Aphrodite off to Hephaestus would stop the other gods from fighting over her.
Yes, that view from Mount Olympus is something else. I haven't seen it in years.
You're not getting that high again, so stop asking.
So you've obviously got the combat. The combat is kind of like, it's like Assassin's Creed Light. So the recent Assassin's Creed games, you're pressing R1 and L1, you know, the back buttons to fight, and then tapping R1 and R1 at the same time parries. Pretty much the same in this. Parrying is very, very essential, and I would say learn it early on. And very early on, you get the use of wings, you get a bow and arrow, you get your sword and your axe, and all sorts of other bits and pieces to help you get along even. And it's kind of like third person, but from quite far back. So you know, not isometric as such, but you're pretty far behind the action. And yeah, essentially you're going around and you're killing, like, you know, minotaurs and cyclopses and possessed soldiers and stuff like that. And also you get like these wraith battles as well. So basically you get tasked with finding all these different, you know, gods coming back, and what you're doing is you're kind of following the storylines of the Greek stories. Like I said, the combat it's like a mashup of like Darksiders, old God of War, and Assassin's Creed, and it's done in a really, really cool way. And it's in a really, really, you know, beautiful setting as well. It's kind of like it's got this kind of painted wild look to it, kind of Breath of the Wild. Apart from the main characters you're playing, he looks a bit like a sim, and you don't really notice it until there's a cutscene. But I don't personally like that graphic style. I find it too cartoony and kiddie. But I can see what the aesthetic they were going for. The actual world is a joy to play in and run around in, and most stuff is destructible, so you can break things down. And then you've got the kind of Breath of the Wild mechanics for the puzzle solving and stuff like that. So you can pick stuff up, you can pick objects up. So as you're running around, you can pick objects up and chuck them at enemies. And you know, you can glide as well, which is a very Link thing. Now I know there will be more abilities, but it's a very early first impressions. So not only can you use these abilities to fight, but you can also use them to solve puzzles. And there are dungeons you have to go into to get upgrades, as well as to follow the storyline. And those are puzzle solving dungeons, much like Breath of the Wild. I don't want to compare it to that because I didn't like Breath of the Wild that much, and I really like this game.
As Phoenix continued his journey, he couldn't help but wonder if his story would one day be told amongst the stars.
Hermes always says, the stars tell stories, but I don't get it. It's like I can't read.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
So yeah, in a nutshell, that's what it's all about. I know, it might not be the best description you've ever heard of a game, but I'm really enjoying it. It's dumb fun. I don't know if the kind of dungeons and stuff will get repetitive, and the storyline and fetch quests might, but what I've done so far hasn't felt repetitive. I do feel like they're dragging on. It's like at the moment, for example, I'm trying to free Athena, who's become a tree, and she's changed her way. So in the story, she's this kind of temptress who uses love and seduction to get her way, but she's now become a tree, so she cares about the animals, and she doesn't want to stop being a tree because she doesn't want to go back to being her old horrible self. But every time I go and do a quest, there's another thing added, and it's like, oh, but no, she changed her mind. You want to do this now? Oh, you have to go and get this thing to convince her. But that's fine because you're enjoying the story. And then additionally, when you're running around and killing the beasts and stuff, I don't feel like there's a lot of point in killing and fighting, because the upgrades are mostly done through collectibles and things you find. So you do a dungeon and you get Zeus of Lightning, and that upgrades your stamina, for example. The weapons and stuff are upgraded by you finding these different materials, and yeah, so the combat is kind of just things that happen in between. But that's not to say the combat isn't enjoyable, but for me, if there isn't a specific skill point or experience linked to killing an enemy, I might avoid it if I don't have to do it, But I'm looking forward to exploring more of the map. I'm a big fan of Ubisoft games, and this kind of does the whole Ubisoft, travel here, unlock this area, move on thing, but in a very, very different setting and in a very, very different way. I love Greek mythology. I've enjoyed all games I've played that have been based around Greek mythology. So that's just a winner as well. I love these characters. I love what they're doing with them in this game. And yeah, I think it might be one that slips under your kind of radar. I haven't put it in my top 10 games of the year because I haven't played it enough to have an impression, but I've got no doubt that it would be in there had I played it, a month ago. I will be doing a full review when I've completed the game, so expect that very soon. And this is my last video before Christmas because next week is Christmas Day. So we'll see what happens. I may or may not have a video on that day, but Merry Christmas, enjoy yourselves, drink loads of alcohol, eat loads of food, and just forget about this shitty year. Thank you as always for watching. Don't forget to check out our career mode battle, which has been going on 3 or 4 times a week. It's me, Mike, Luke and Matt. How can I forget his name? Luke and Matt are all competing to see who can win the Champions League, and it's been really entertaining so far. A lot of things have happened which we didn't expect to already, as well as checking out our Sea of Thieves streams, our regular videos. Mike has a video he puts out every Wednesday. The Bears Den on a Sunday. I'm probably forgetting some stuff as always, but just don't forget to keep listening, watching, reading our stuff. And if you haven't read all of our articles from the top 10 week, please go back and read them all. Mine will have been out before this video, so please check it out. And on Sunday we're going to do point system based top 10 games of the year from this morning. So don't forget to watch all that, and I'll see you soon.